Hello and welcome to Cool Stuff by Simplified. My name is Gurjot.
My name is Michael. Today we have
Daniel Längle. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you, Daniel. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you very much. I'm a bit exhausted, but I'm very, very good.
Yeah.
To start this off, let's start with can you give us a 30-second summary of what you do and why it's cool?
Okay, so I'm the CEO of a dynamic young startup full of brilliant young guys, and I'm responsible for setting the vision and keeping their backs free to do an amazing product that's going to help a lot of people. So that's really amazing. We have a real chance to do something really amazing in a great team. That's why it's cool.
What's your product about?
We are in the infusion, the delivery. So if you're in a hospital and you get a drug, you get it through an infusion set. And the pumps today, they have no way of actually measuring how much is flowing inside this infusion tubing. So they just pump blindly, not knowing what ends up at the patient side. And we have developed an integration for flow sensing in this infusion device, so we can measure actually how much is flowing through the tubing. And this allows us to make a much simpler device, a much smaller device, a much more reliable device. So today, those pumps are beeping all the time. They're huge. They need a power cable to the wall, and we can make a nice, small, very elegant device that just works. And we say we convert a PlayStation into an iPod with the same functionality. Basically.
Could you explain that? PlayStation into an iPod?
So today they're the size of a PlayStation.
Okay.
And
so
after we offer them the functionality and the size of an iPod.
Yeah, it does seem like a lot of medical equipment are just huge, big boxes that are really ugly and cumbersome.
Yeah, well, there is a big trend going to usability, but that's totally the case if you look at it. But there's a huge trend going to usability also in the medical device area, and the norms and regulations are actually asking more and more for this, and I think that's very nice. And some companies are doing a better job than others, but we want to be one of those who do a really good job. And we're in close contact with nurses now, getting this input. It's not easy, you know.
Could you just tell me, what was the old technology? You said it just blindly pumped blood or whatever through to the patient. So there's no monitoring at all, or do they just kind of guess how much was going in?
There is monitoring, but not of the flow, but of the pressure of the tube. So they have a pressure sensor.
Right.
So if something completely blocks at the end, the tube is slowly building up the pressure like a balloon.
Yeah.
And when a pressure limit is reached, the pump starts to beep.
Yeah.
But now this takes a while. Okay. So if you have very low flow rates, if you have a very strong drug and a small patient, for example, for little babies, if you deliver the drug very slowly and something happens at the end, it takes half an hour, maybe even more than an hour for the pump to actually detect that there is this pressure limit reached, you know.
And that's going to be dangerous, I imagine.
It could be dangerous because
the pressure limit is reached means the drug's no longer going inside.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because there's a blockage at the other end.
Exactly. It's like imagine like you have a long hose and you stand on the end, and then but it's a very flexible hose, so it builds up the pressure, and then when you feel the pressure reach the limit, you sound the alarm. And so what you want to put this level as low as possible to have the alarm as quickly as possible in those old devices. But when you put it as low as possible, if the patient shakes the arm, for example, and there is a pressure change,
it'll start beeping.
Exactly. The alarm is triggered as well. So that's why those pumps, they beep very much. Yeah. And actually, there are studies saying that 9 out of 10 alarms are nuisance alarms, just actually annoying the nurses, you know. This is, if an actual alarm that is important happens, it's called alarm fatigue.
It must be not just another nuisance alarm.
Exactly. So people get used to nuisance alarms and then they don't react to the critical alarms. So that's...
How long has this been going on?
It has been going on for a long time. Actually, it has been so critical that in 2010, the FDA, the Federal
Drug Administration.
Thank you very much. They have started the infusion pump improvement initiative. So that's like really the governmental, the body saying, guys, we have to change something, and they have issued letters of warning to pump manufacturers. They have given out guidance documents. They have also, there was a big recall in this time where a pump manufacturer had take back all of the pumps. That's a big thing. It's like the Volkswagen scandal with the
medicine.
The gases of medicine. Yeah. But this actually, in the time of, they did this study, when they started this infusion pump improvement initiative, it has been done because of the outcome of a study. This study looked at all the 5 years before, what kind of reports did they get, and they had 87 of those callbacks, not such a major one, but 87 in 5 years.
That's a lot.
This is really much. So infusion pumps have always been an issue in the hospital. To be fair, those pumps have done a very good step, have done a very good service also in hospitals, because they allowed the doctors or the nurses to run a program and then leave the room. You don't have to have this drip infusion. There was a big step that they changed. They allowed many new kind of therapies, but they also came with some disadvantages. So now we are trying to learn from the lessons there and make a better product.
So could you describe your product? What's the technology difference that you've brought around in this?
So I can't go much into detail. Obviously, we're a young startup. We have
but like just as simply, so you said the previous monitoring was by looking at pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you changed now?
We monitor the flow.
You monitor the flow.
We actually measure the flow inside the tube, and this is tricky because the flow is very slow.
Yeah.
For an infusion, you can those infusions with the drip dripping down. If you have low flow rates, it's like one drip every 30 seconds. That's extremely low. You cannot put just a wheel into the water and see, the wheel won't spin. Yeah. It's really slow flow. So to measure this flow, this is tricky. You have to you have to know much about sensing. You have to know much about signal interpretation. And this is the tricky part. And we are measuring the flow in this.
And are you already putting it to use in some places, like test?
That's the interesting part of being a medtech startup, because you cannot just
you can't just do
you can't just put up a homepage and then people are gonna.
Yeah, I mean, not on a patient, but how do you test it then? Of course, you don't straight away put it to a patient.
Exactly, and that's a very interesting thing because you still have to try to be as early out as possible. So what we do is we build mock-ups with a user interface. For example, we made this. Basically, it's just a mock-up with an iPhone 5 inside, and it looks like an infusion device, and we printed a paper on top of it. The buttons were printed onto the paper, and then if you press the paper, the iPhone below recognizes the touch, and we made a user interface on this, and then we gave it to nurses and said, what do you think of this infusion device? And they all thought it's an actual working infusion device, so and from this we got the input on the user interface.
So either your device is really cool or the nurses are really stupid.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is that you have always an idea, when you always think like, oh, it should be this and that way, but you have no idea how it actually looks like in the hospital. And when you get this information and you give it to them and they don't get it, you made a mistake actually. I think that's really important. That's
Now, was this technology made at ETH during your time there?
The thing is, we are loosely based on, so we have a background in sensing technology, and we're from the company Sensirion. It was an ETH spin-off, and a very big success story. So, at Sensirion, there's flow sensing is a big topic, and this was developed at ETH. So we are very loosely, but we are attached to ETH. We're kind of working on this, still on this technology developed there.
Wait, can you give us some more context on Sensirion? So you said it was a huge success.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
So Sensirion, I don't know if you are familiar with them, but they were founded in 1998, I think, by two guys. Moritz Lechner and sorry?
From ETH, both of them.
From ETH, both of them. They were two ETH PhDs.
Okay.
And their PhD, they did flow sensing on a silicon chip. So the cool thing is that you can combine the sensing element and all the signal processing and everything on a small silicon chip, you know.
Yeah.
And they did this for flow sensing, and I think also for, I'm not sure, maybe, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, or correct me later if when I'm wrong. But they did flow sensing and the measurement of humidity measuring.
Okay.
And the cool thing is, before then, in the time, a digital sensor for humidity and temperature was the size of a pen.
Okay.
And when they were done, you know, after their thesis, it was the size of a breadcrumb. So it was extremely small, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, and this was because they could combine all this technology on a silicon chip.
Yeah.
And they took use of this big technology, you know, all the chip manufacturers, all this the semiconductor industry is huge.
Yeah.
And it's getting better every year, and better in huge steps, you know. And they could take advantage of this and put technology on a small chip, and this was a big change in the whole world of sensing. Because if you have a small sensor like this, you can put it everywhere, you know.
Yeah.
You have completely new applications.
Yeah.
And now you're trying to apply the same thing, but on infusion.
Well, what's in Syrian is what they do great, and then they are. So the story, you know, within 15 years there were 600 people company, you know, huge, big success story. Yeah, that was very nice.
Works there.
Oh, your roommate works there.
Sorry,
My roommate works there.
Yeah?
It's in Syrian, yeah.
Yeah, nice. No, and they were also voted the second best employer of Switzerland, so they are doing a good job.
Wow.
Jeez.
And but what they are is a technology-driven company. You know, they have much research there. Big percentage of their turnover goes into research, and they develop new sensing technologies very much. And what we try to be is a market-driven.
You're creating products.
Yes.
Yeah.
Based on the technologies that what you guys researched before?
So we know much about technology. You know, we are all engineers.
Yeah.
But what we want to be is really close to the customer. We actually, if you're technology driven, basically what you do is you're in a lab, you develop something really cool, you know, and it's crazy that it works, and then you go out and say, okay, where can we place this? You know, like Syrian, they made this really cool sensor, and then they go out and say, where can we put this, where can we use this sensor, you know? And what we try to do is we talk to people in the market, and they say they have this problem, and we go back and we say, how could we most easily solve this?
Yeah.
Nice.
Without even thinking of technology, you know, just
Yeah.
what's the simplest solution to their problem. So we try to be a market-driven company, and they are a technology-driven company. That's what we want to be.
That's pretty cool.
We try to be a low-tech, market-driven company. That's maybe not so nice to say, but you know, you should always find the simplest solution for a problem.
So where did you get the idea for working, like creating a new blood infusion device?
So this was actually because I was in sales, and I talked to nurses and
You were selling.
I was selling those sensors, those flow sensors, you know, and then I talked to nurses, to pump manufacturers, and then we got the idea of doing something on our own, and we talked to our CEO back then and said, you know, we should do a device, you know, we shouldn't do a sensor, we should do a device, and he said, yes, but we are a sensor company, that's a nice idea, but we are a sensor company, if you want to do this, do it outside, you know, and he said there are two hearts in his chest beating, the one heart as a boss, saying it's hard to let us go, the other heart as a entrepreneur himself, saying go for it guys, you know, it's a good experience. That was nice. So with his blessing we started 1Fusion.
When did you start?
That was 2015 in June,
Okay.
So what, like, you left the previous job and then you guys just came together? Like, how many of you were there?
It was 3 of us, but the other 2 were only 20% in the beginning. I was 100% in the beginning, starting the whole thing, and we started off in a different way also, you know. I can't go into detail, but when we started, many times, you know, you start with something, you have an idea, and you really try hard, and you realize, okay, it doesn't work. And the same was with us, you know, only a few months down the road, we really found out, you know, okay, we should do it differently, and we changed our plan, and we made a big switch, and then we saw, okay, there is something in there, and we then the other 2 guys, the one guy came on board 100%. Jonas, he's the CTO.
Yeah.
In January 2016, and then in June 2016 we got 2 more people joining the company. Now we're 5 people working 100% on the company. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So we know how tech startups work, like Facebook kind, online internet-based startups, and then there's social startups, like social entrepreneurs, like things happening at Impact Hub. Now you guys are somewhere in the middle where like it is technology but meant to be used for, say, medical aid, right? So what's the process for that startup? I mean, like you said, you started off with an idea, started building a technology. What are the steps?
So a really good thing that I can really recommend everybody is getting to KTI, because you get a coaching from an experienced entrepreneur.
What is KTI?
KTI is the Commission for Technology and Innovation
here in Switzerland.
Here in Switzerland,
Okay.
And they do a great job in fostering startups and really providing some infrastructure. There are KTI funded projects. There are KTI coaches. We have a KTI coach. He has 30 years of experience in bringing up medtech startup. He's a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
He's now in his 4th startup, building it up, and he coached us from the very early days, and he, we thought we go out, we build a prototype. Actually, to be honest, we thought we go out, we sell a patent, That was actually the first thing or something like this, and then we thought, okay, we just build a prototype, but then he said, guys, you're a medtech company, so what you need to do is you need to establish a quality management system, you need to read the norms, you need to find your regulations, you need to hire the right people, because you have no idea, you've never built a medical device. And we were like, no worries, Apple has never built a computer before they actually built one, But he was like, no, you have to do it the right order. And this helped us extremely much, He really helped us to become actually a medical device company and not just a bunch of hackers.
Yeah.
And
I mean, because it's not like building a computer. Here you're going to build something that will actually be used for human medical care.
Exactly.
So it's not exactly computer. Not exactly apples and oranges.
Yes, exactly.
So you mean KTI, is this an initiative from the Swiss government?
Yes.
And is it designed specifically for medtech companies or technology-driven companies?
I think it's designed especially for technology-driven companies or innovative companies. I think if you're making a homepage when you're just selling something,
right,
KTI won't help you. But if you make a homepage with some algorithms, or a web-based service, KTI will be the help,
Okay.
But,
so you got your coach and he guided you to actually start building, get all these things done. And since then you've been working on building your patent or your prototype, or both?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
But they work together, right? I mean, you can't just...
Yeah, I think that's always the thing. Well, you could do things step by step in generally, but then you're slow. So you want to do things in parallel always, but then things become complex because you have cross dependencies and stuff. But that's the art.
That's the game.
Exactly. That's the game. Managing complexity. And your R&D will always influence your patent portfolio because you're finding out new things, you want to patent them, and the other way around, because maybe you would find theoretically a patent that blocks a part of your invention, so you need to work around. But this also you can only do with a team. So actually the thing you want to do things, you shouldn't go out there to make a profit. You should go out there to make a great product, and then maybe profit comes. But the great product you can only build with a great team. So that's the other thing. You should find a really, really good team. Yeah. Then find a really good problem to solve. That's your product, and this will then, in the end, hopefully, get you a good profit. That's what I say now. Maybe in 5 years I will say, oh man, I would have thought of profit. But I think that's the order that things should go. Yeah. So and the patent comes in somewhere in between, and all those things come in between, but they all go parallel.
Mm-hmm. What step are you on now?
We are in the middle of product development.
Mm-hmm.
We are really working hard to get our product to CE mark. This is CE mark is when you have a medtech device, you need a CE. It's on everything.
It's CE mark.
It's CE, like CE. Yeah, like Charlie Echo.
So on the back of the iPhone we can see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is
Exactly.
what, some kind of stamp of approval from...
Yes, it's a well. It depends on the kind of device that you're
Yeah.
building. If you're just making an electronic device, you can also stamp it yourself and say, "I built this. It's fine," you know. But if you make a medical product, you have to get a notified body to
Yeah.
look at your product.
It's like an ISO 9001-2000 certification kind of deal,
Uh,
but like for different technology.
Actually, not.
It's not. Okay.
No, the thing is, the ISO 9001 is a general quality certificate. If you're a medical company, you need the ISO 13485 certification, but that's for your company. That's just for the process within your company, and for the device you're making, the device is going to have the CE stamp.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you are a company making a medical device, okay, let's say it this way. If you want to sell a device, a medical device, it needs to have a CE stamp. To get the CE stamp, if you want to be the company selling it, you need to have ISO 13485.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And this CE mark means that you have to hand in the description of your product, the notified body, and that's a guy who does infusion pumps his whole life. You know, he's a guru of infusion pumps. He's really like Mr. Yoda looking at your, you know, your work, and then he says, "Pass your will," or "Pass your won't."
Good pump. This is
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
It's
just
kind of
not-
like how is it like peer review process for technology?
You could say
Because
that.
you said this guy has been
Yes.
working in, so he's
Yes. And then additionally to him looking at your files, you have to do some tests in the lab, and you have to pass those tests.
Show the
And if
results.
those things work together, and if he says you have a redundant product, you have worked within the norms, you know, it's all fine, it's a safe product, you also have to show safety and man, it's been a long day with patents.
A day of patents.
Efficacy. That's the word. Efficacy, meaning that your product actually has an effect. You know,
Right.
If you make a safe product with no effect, yeah,
That's
there you go.
useless.
Exactly. So you have to show
Oh.
both things, and then you can get the CE mark and
Alright.
enter the market.
Okay, and so once you've gotten the mark, that's when you start actually mass producing the device.
Yeah, that's
You'll have to go through an actual human trial before.
No, the good thing is, well, that really depends. And typically, before you get CE mark, you have to. The thing is, you need to show that you are safe, and you need to show that you have an effect. Now, if you make an implant, for example, you will always have to make a clinical trial before and put the implant into maybe a pig or something, and show that it is safe. And then you can actually use it on the human, and then you can maybe get the CE mark. And you know, this is the step that's being done. But there's something actually happening in your body. But we make an infusion pump that has been shown. You know, it's basically established clinically. We do something different technically. So we are able to get to the market without a clinical trial. We can show in the lab that it's safe and it's reliable and everything. Yeah.
How do you guys fund this development?
We have investors. We have shares. You know, we're share capital. We have investors.
So what, you guys went to venture capitalists, or is it a different process for you
What
guys?
was your process? You didn't start off with the Impact Hub Fellowship thing, no?
No, we don't have the Impact Hub Fellowship. We pay for our places.
You just happen to be here.
Exactly. It's nice. There are more girls than in Technopark. So what we started off, we just, you know, we tried to use as little money as possible. So we just put together the money we had, you know, working, trying to find out what we're doing actually. And then we threw in all our savings all together, you know, and then just built what we could with this money. And we worked for nearly a year without external funding. And within this year, we were able to show some things. And with those things, we went to investors and said, now we need money to do those things. And then we found investors. Luckily, that was really nice, and with good investors. And now we have money to actually develop a product. You know, and then we're going to the next step, and then you will have the next fundraising. And that's how it goes. You just get money to develop something, and we have investors. Yeah.
Can you give us an idea of how much money is required to make a medtech startup?
That really depends. That's really hard to say. But with our startup, I would say it really depends what you want to do. You know, you really can't say this but generally you would need something between 500,000 and 1.5 million, just roughly in the first round, you know, to really get something going, you know. But this is really just a number, you know, because
it really just depends.
Yeah, because for example, maybe what if you need a clinical trial? What if you actually have something that needs to be shown in a study? A study is very expensive, you know. Then, and if a company is developing a medical device, until they're in the market, it could be like 20, 30 millions just spend money before they even can sell a product.
Wow.
So, but then it could even be more. You know, I'm just saying there's, if you actually have to show, if you have to recruit 100 patients, show something in them, there's a lot of money that you need to have. But also sometimes you can build something out of Lego. And there's this guy, you know, it's an American, he's kind of a wonder child, they say, he's I think 16 years old. He built an arm with Lego and fish wire, you know, for 100th of the price of implants. It's supposed to work really nicely, you know, and he's now giving this away so people can actually use those prosthetics. So there's the other side, you know, you can just, again, use the simplest solution for a problem in the market. Yeah.
What are the biggest cost factors? Like you said, studies are very expensive. What else is...
So you mean for a medtech company or you mean
specifically for medtech?
For medtech, that's a hard question.
Just everything's expensive.
Everything's really expensive. Well, I think people are most expensive in general for us, you know. So if your salaries will be the biggest influence, I think. So if you're a medtech company, you can outsource many things. So you know, actually, if you're a big medtech company, you can just actually pay a company to build your whole device. You know.
No.
So then not your salaries are the most expensive, but actually the company you pay to develop it, you know. But if you're a startup, you're developing it yourself, and for us, and I think for most people, their own salaries are the most expensive. So you try to go on low salaries. That's why every startup tries to, you know, pay low salaries. Yeah.
Cool stuff, Daniel. Let's get to know you a little.
All right.
Tell us about yourself. What are your passions? What do you do in your free time? Do you have any free time? Working
exactly. What's free time? No, but actually, we really try to have a good balance and have enough free time. I like to do sports. I like to go hiking. I'm from Austria, so I'm you know, from mountainous region, and I really like to go hiking. I like to drink beers. I like to drink beers while hiking, you know. But I also I play rugby.
Oh, nice. Like
and,
the actual rugby, not the American kind.
Yeah, no, the actual without protection.
Yeah.
I also play music, so I learned some instruments. I play the guitar, you know, and the ukulele, and I'm also in a little jazz band here in Zurich, but it's just sometimes we play in the street, and I play the washboard there actually.
Wow.
You know, you know the washboard? It's like you can play like this, and they're all really good musicians, you know.
Yeah.
These are guys that actually studied music, and
then there's you.
There's me, exactly, on the washboard. But that's the only instrument I could ever play with them, you know, because they play the saxophone and the piano. Those are really hard instruments, you know.
Yeah.
But the washboard you can get pretty good pretty soon, you know. So that's why I'm on the washboard.
Do you have a name for this band or something?
They're called the Sheiks.
The Sheiks.
Okay.
Sheiks. Yeah.
That's a cool name.
Yeah.
What is one thing that you know that nobody else knows?
Wow. Well, how the inside of my nose smells, right? That's really...
That's a really tough question, because that's like telling someone your eyes always look at your nose, but your brain chooses to ignore it.
Yeah.
And then you get so confused because you start seeing your nose then. So you just tell someone you know how the inside of your nose smells, you're like, oh shit. Because you get really wary of it.
Yeah. But I mean, other than those, and only that I know.
Man, that's a tough one, yeah.
That is a really tough one.
I wouldn't know how to answer that myself.
Yeah, I tend to tell people things that I found out, you know.
Yeah.
I should keep more things to myself, to be honest, you know. So
more patterns.
those things, I really just think biologically now, you know. Those are the kind of things, and yeah, that's like the socially acceptable thing I could say, with the nose and the mouth, But yeah.
Oh well, that's a tough one. Let's just mark that as the toughest question we've ever asked in an interview.
It's the first time you asked that question?
Yeah.
Oh man. What's the only thing you know that nobody else knows?
Oh, I wasn't expecting it to go back to me.
Well.
The inside of my mouth.
Ah man, you can't steal my answers.
Well, okay, before we ask you our pet question, you were at ETH, did you see your bachelor's and everything at ETH?
My bachelor and my master's.
Oh.
So you were there.
Highlight of your experience, what was it?
Yeah.
It was the exchange semester.
Where did you go?
Because I wanted to go surfing and I wanted to go somewhere else. And then they told me, so I went to the office and said, I need to go surfing, I want to go to Barcelona.
Yeah.
On exchange, and they said, man, actually the deadline is 2 weeks over and there's no surf in Barcelona. But there's still 2 universities with the place. It's Aachen in Germany and Trondheim in Norway. I was like, man, what a choice, but of course I'm not going to go to Aachen in Germany. And I went to Trondheim in Norway, and that was the best experience of my whole study. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because in Trondheim, the whole student organizations are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a festival up there, a 1-month festival that's organized only by students.
Okay.
1,500 students work together. Nobody gets paid anything.
Yeah.
1,500 people work for free. Just because it's so much fun and you have to apply there. You have to go through an interview.
Wow.
and not everybody gets to work for free for a month, And it
like
so
full time for a month?
Yeah, it's not full time. It's maybe like 40%, 40-50%.
Yeah. Wow.
But you can't really study.
Yeah.
Doing it. And but it's a festival. David Guetta and Snoop Dogg were the headliners. It's huge. There's a tent for like 30,000 people, and they have a full program. So you can buy a ticket for Snoop Dogg with a 5-course dinner before. And I was a chef. I was grilling reindeer steaks.
That's amazing.
For the people who want to go to the Snoop Dogg concert.
Yeah.
And that was so nice. And then you have really nice parties, and on the last day of this festival, I met my now girlfriend. She was a waitress.
Okay.
It's classic.
Wow. That's classic waiter.
The chef and the waitress. But that was really nice. Yeah.
So that sounds really cool.
Mm.
Now closing off, what do you have on your bookmarks bar? So on your browser, there's a bar.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice one.
I'm guessing
that's a nice one. Well, I have the top 6 rugby games in history that I need to watch now because I have also the best TED Talks according to the guy of TED Talk. I have the patent search. Actually, that's how my life.
That's
right. But those are the 3 things I remember because the TED Talks are really nice and the rugby games are amazing, and the patent search is really important.
Yay!
Amazing.
Sounds really good. Thank you so much, Daniel, for joining
Thanks
us.
a lot, guys.
We wish you good luck with your startup.
Thanks. We need all the luck we can get, and it's been fun talking to you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. If you liked it, we'd really appreciate it if you shared it and gave us your feedback. We publish a new episode every week. For more details, visit our website simplifyd.xyz.